The top story of the day. The much-awaited 5G service is finally here in India. Prime Minister Modi kicked off the commercial rollout of 5G services in India today at a telecom event in the national capital. This 5G service is expected to progressively cover all of India over the next couple of years, potentially transforming India's digital landscape. This long-running saga of India's 5G spectrum auctions finally saw some closure in 2022. The multi-band auction wrapped up around the 1st of August with 71% of the available spectrum sold. That was a move or an outcome that the government considered to be a very positive one and also sufficient enough to go ahead and achieve a nationwide 5G coverage within 2 to 3 years. Several sectors, particularly the manufacturing sector, financial services, the electronics industry, they will all benefit hugely from the deployment of 5G. And with improved data transfer speed and reduced latency, the expectation is that 5G will be a game changer, especially in this space.
India, under the visionary leadership...
India goes 5G. Today at the annual India Mobile Congress, Prime Minister Modi announced the launch of next-generation mobile services.
आज देश की ओर से, देश की टेलीकॉम इंडस्ट्री की ओर से 130 करोड़ भारतवासियों को 5G के तौर पर एक शानदार उपहार मिल रहा है। 5G देश के द्वार पर नए दौर की दस्तक लेके आया है। 5G अवसरों के अनंत आकाश की शुरुआत है। मैं प्रत्येक भारतवासी को इसके लिए बहुत-बहुत बधाई देता हूं।
5G is expected to bring a significant boost to mobile internet speeds in India. While 4G speeds currently span anywhere from 10 to 60 Mbps on average, 5G is expected to range in the hundreds, which will allow faster downloads and seamless remote work. Additionally, 5G reduces latency, which is the time taken between an action and reaction over the internet. This reduced latency allows for critical applications like remote medicine, remote surgery, and real-time interactions in industrial use. Demos at the India Mobile Congress showed how 5G could enable connected ambulances where doctors can start procedures remotely, as well as connected cars that would be able to process self-driving data over the cloud.
5G is much more than the next generation of connectivity technology. To my mind, it is a foundational technology that unlocks the full potential of other 21st century technologies.
Absolutely, हम बहुत अफोर्डेबल करेंगे। हर एक भारतवासी को अफोर्डेबल होना चाहिए, डिवाइस के लेके सर्विस तक सब कुछ तय करेंगे।
All three major operators, Jio, Airtel and Vodafone, are expected to launch 5G services in the coming months. However, Jio and Airtel are taking the lead with 5G availability expected in time for Diwali in at least 8 major cities.
आज जब आप लॉन्च करेंगे इस 5G को, तो 8 शहरों में आज 5G एयरटेल की तरफ से उपलब्ध होगा। दिल्ली, वाराणसी, मुंबई, बेंगलोर और कई शहरों में।
Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai and Mumbai are expected to be the first cities to get 5G coverage. Airtel has already activated the 5G network at Delhi airport and will initiate the rollout today. Prices of services are expected to be competitive, but there could be a slight premium that will be passed on to customers. 5G smartphone sales in India in 2020 and the next-gen standard has made its way to mid-range smartphones already.
From MediaTek point of view, we have an entire range, from the mainstream chipsets like Dimensity 700 and all up to the flagship, which is Dimensity 9000 or 9000 plus. So we have the entire range, so we can actually satisfy the demand in every different price segment.
With the advent of 5G, India is ready to introduce the next generation of services on a high-speed internet backbone. However, reliability, accessibility and price play a crucial role in ensuring widespread reach of 5G services. With camera person Ashok Mahale, Rubina Mongia for NDTV.
So, India's 5G journey has witnessed it all. Everything from conspiracy theories even that COVID-19 is a cover-up for the deployment of 5G. So, after many twists and turns, controversies and hurdles. 5G is here, but the fundamental question is India 5G ready or not? Do we have an ecosystem conducive to the long-term functioning in a manner that is beneficial to both telecom companies and to the consumer? Joining us on Left, Right and Centre tonight, Rohan Gupta, National Spokesperson of the Congress, PKD Nambiar, a BJP supporter from New York. Joining us, Rajan Matthews, former DG, Cellular Operators Association of India, President of the Alliance University in New York, Dhruv Bhutani, Editor of Android Authority, Arun Mishra, founder of Briz Broly. He's a tech and software expert. Thank you all for joining us. Rajan Matthew, to you first. So it's finally here, 5G. But, I just want to start by doing a throwback to about, I think, 2019, where the headlines were that Indian mobile companies are going to push back 5G network deployments by 5 years because of exorbitant base prices, insufficient spectrum, unavailability of newer brands. That point of time, you had said that was the operator's perspective. You had said in 2019. How do you feel today, Mr. Matthews?
Thank you for this opportunity from here in New York. I tell you, hats off to Prime Minister Modi and to Minister Vaishnav. What we were agitating as an industry for some 15 years happened almost overnight in the new telecom policy, the settling of all of these outstanding issues and getting the prices for the spectrum. The paucity of spectrum is gone. Really, that is, I think, the thing that broke the dam and let the waters of technology, innovation, and all of the things that India can do, let them free. And I think today we are seeing what IMC started about 6 years ago, talking about 5G. And I think today, because of that forward-looking notion that we must get rid of all of these things that stand in the way, just let the animal spirits of India's tremendous potential loose, and you'll see miracles happen in the country. So this
all
is
right,
a
but
great
if you talk about the animal spirit, we Indians, we love a good deal, Mr. Matthews, and the Indian consumer has so far had a feast when it comes to tariff. We have the lowest data rates in the world. But at some point of time, don't you think we're going to have to pay for it at some point in order to enable even the telecom industry to enhance the quality of services being provided? How are you, phones are expensive. To move to a 5G phone, it's not inexpensive.
Absolutely. I think the benefit that India has always had is in our volumes. Yes. I mean, you can have a high rate, low volume, and the offsetting is high volumes and low price. They kind of go together, right? So our country has benefited from the high volumes that are prevalent in that. And I think that's really what's going to make this successful. Of course, as you see, the tariffs have gone up incrementally over the last several months and years, and we've been talking about how that's necessary. And of course, going forward with inflation, the cost of money, all of those have to be factored into the industry's rationale for being able to invest. Money is still relatively expensive in India in terms of the interest rates, and I think we need to begin to make those affordable. The sort of tariff, I think, given the prior history of the industry, will always be very affordable to the Indian consumer.
Okay, let's expand this a bit. Let's bring in Dhruv Bhutani, editor of Android Authority. Dhruv, you have tweeted that private operators are launching 5G, but where is the national operator? What's your concern? What's your beef here?
Well, the fact of the matter is that BSNL is still not rolled out as 4G networks in India. And I mean, at the end of the day, the way that you look at it, the onus is again on the private industry to promote 5G networks across the country, pan-India coverage. And the situation has improved. But again, you go to the hinterland and you do not have prevalent connectivity. And that's the promise that we are essentially advertising, the remote medicine and all the additional features and benefits of 5G that we are talking about. At the end of the day, it's the government which needs to enhance its own national telecom operator as well and make that a first-class citizen to be able to deliver those services.
Fair point, and also you're talking about reach. If, as Mr. Matthews says, we need to have maybe lower tariffs but larger volumes, but for that we have to have reach into the villages. So Arun Mishra, please come in over here. You have tweeted saying with the launch of 5G in India, technology is moving to the villages. So far cities were the outsourcing hubs, but you say it's time for the villages to shine. How exactly do you see that happening, sir? I think fiber network, am I wrong that only about 30 or 40% of India has fiber connectivity? Won't 5G technology require higher network reach? Don't we need a bigger fiber footprint in order to efficiently deploy this technology, in order to make up these volumes that Mr. Matthews is talking about?
Yes, Sarah, I think you're right. It's a chance for our villages to sign, but at the same time, government has to ensure that connectivity is there. Like in case of 5G, we need smaller sites, right? Smaller cell sites. It has to be like on every billboard, on red lights. This is called the street furniture. In case of 5G, you have to have these things enabled. And in villages, it's not there. Even like Dhruv said, 4G is not yet has reached to villages. So it's definitely going to take time. But if, like he said, if onus is to private carriers, because our public carriers have not yet launched 4G, so they have to first launch 5G, and then they have to actually create these cell sites so that villagers can actually start using these 5G features. And when they will actually start using these, then we can have this whole ecosystem which is currently driven from these metros. It will slowly move to villages.
Did we need to have this ecosystem in place first ahead of the launch? But okay, sorry, I want to ask, so you're pointing out an important feature here. We don't have 4G in place. Is this a premature celebration then, or can we just leapfrog over 4G and go into 5G? I'm not sure. I'm asking you all. You're the experts. But let me also ask you what I asked Mr. Matthews about, the prices. Right now you have 5G devices. I think you get them in the market for maybe 20K. But we have a low average disposable income. We're not a country with high disposable income. So buying a 5G device, I think I can safely say for most people is a luxury that we can't afford. So how are you saying it's going to reach our villages, etc., and it's going to be such a huge success?
You are right. In case for villagers, it's actually a luxury right now to buy a 5G phone or even 5G cell, right? And the SIM card right now. But because these services are not yet available. 1 second.
We have to change the SIM? Everybody has to change the SIM to get a 5G connection?
Yes. Because right now the public carriers are providing, they are not 5G enabled. So we have to change our SIM. And changing a SIM in villages is still a problem, right? Changing the device
in the cities.
Right. Agreed. And let's talk about villages. So even changing a phone is a very big deal there. But I don't see that as a big problem, because the first problem is whether connectivity has reached or not. So like you said, it's a premature celebration according to me. And in few years, when actually these the services will reach to villages, by then I think most of the phones will be replaced by villagers also, because now the providers these cell phone companies are actually providing phones which are 5G enabled. So it's a premature celebration, I agree. And in order for villages to actually use 5G services, in order for these technology that we are showing in India Mobile Congress, where connected healthcare is available, where for agriculture prediction will be right, remote working illegal. All these are
So you're saying premature, PKD Nambiar, a premature celebration, says our panelists, our expert over here. I don't know, call me a skeptic. We don't have, you hear stories of pregnant women being carried on bamboo stakes, makeshift beds being brought all the way. I mean, we haven't gotten access into our villages. How are we going to get 5G out, PKD Nambiar? You have Airtel. Now, Airtel has said it's going to happen, I think by 2023. Jio is also saying something like that. So the headlines that we're hearing today that 5G has arrived in India, the reality is it's at least another 2 years, right? Korea has already had 5G since 2019. We're behind the US, we're behind the UK. 30% of the world nation has already implemented 5G. We have still all of these issues. So how do you see the celebration? Premature, right, ambitious, required?
Well, I think definitely it is not at all premature. I remember when I started my business about 21 years ago, a technology business which we are all talking about, to develop.
Which is why we have you on the show.
Correct. I'm just telling you today. I don't want it to be an analyst or somebody who supports whomsoever. Let's talk pure technology. The traveling of technology from an innovation to the common man. Generally, the time it takes is about 20 to 30 years. But in the internet era, the traveling or the speed of this technology travel to a common man, and especially with regard to India and internet, has been one of a phenomenal thing, which is a case study to be talked about anywhere in the world. Now, talking about how this technology, as I said that when I started my first .com business about 21 years ago, everybody, including my family, said there is nothing called like this. This will not work. But today, I am coming to your show through a Skype. The time has changed. The travel time of technology is much bigger. I wanted to tell you something else other than forget about an IoT, internet, 5G, and definitely in one of your show few months ago, I said that 5G is a luxury. It is not a necessity. It is not required for everyone. Yes, the way we are talking that every common man or every farmer needs to have a 5G, that's illogical even to compare. And every innovation needs to be celebrated, because that is the one thing which will take you to the tomorrow. Now, coming back to the one last part, I know that we have a lot of people today. One thing we need to tell you that 5G or 2G, from that gap you see in the last 20 years, how we have transformed. The speed of the data consumption, as Mr. Matthew was telling today, we are the largest data consumer of the world. Can you imagine about 20 years before that? I know a lot of people, when I made the first chat box, people told me that you are an idiot, nobody will download this. When I made the first mobile app about 15 years ago, they said that there is nothing called as a smartphone will ever happen.
Mr. Nambiar, that's because you're a Malayali. And all Malayali parents want you to either be a doctor or go to the Gulf.
So I'm telling you, another one most important thing which I wanted to tell, because a lot of technocrats are there. 30 years before, in our country, the surgical robots have come. Do you know that there are not even 100 surgical robots are there in the country, and we say we are the health capital of the world. Whereas, and today when we have an Indian company has launched the third surgical robots in the world from India. An Indian company has launched, instead of a 30 crore product, 5 crore rupees in Delhi Rajiv Gandhi Cancer Institute, that SSI mantra is placed. So the idea is that innovation and technology and the telemedicines are a reality, not anymore a concept. And when my company did the first VR and the AI platform, my technology company did it, people all said that it is never going to be a reality. Today, that is the business which works the maximum for me. So the idea is that technology is in a supersonic, it's much faster than the lightning speed it works.
But it needs an ecosystem to be in place for it to
One thing
be
I wanted
successful.
to tell you, I remember one of the symposium about 12 years back when I have attended in Delhi. People said that the education, how will the people of India will use the smartphone? I only said that you will not have any more institutes to teach the people Microsoft Word or an Excel, but a mobile will teach you all alone. I think today is the day, as Mr. Matthew said, that we have to celebrate.
I agree, but as far as I know, and I may be wrong, only 9% of smartphone users in India have our 5G enabled price. Okay, let's bring in Mr. Matthews over here. Two interesting things, Mr. Nambiar is also pointing out, and very candid and frankly saying that 5G is a luxury. Not everybody needs it. So why are we talking about villages shining, I beg your pardon. Why are we expecting volumes if it's not something that's required for everybody?
So I think we are missing one fundamental point in this debate, in that up to 4G, we were a consumer-driven industry. That is going to fundamentally change with 5G, which is also going to be an enterprise-driven technology. And we can't just look at the price of a handset with the consumer and the switching out of the 5G. And I'm saying that that's all fine And yes, we will resolve those issues. Yes, the price of a phone will probably have to come down to the price point of about 5,000. You know, the fact that we're manufacturing chips and we're now a manufacturing hub will all help towards that. But please, look at the opportunity. We talk about hospitals. We talk about schools. These are enterprise driven. We talk about our ports. Mr. Adani has bought spectrum, for those types of applications. So we have to look at a broader spectrum of how 5G is going to fundamentally reorient. And so just don't look at the consumer. Look at the wider spectrum of applications that are burgeoning to make use of 5G. I think that's the miracle that we are going to unleash in India.
Okay, Rohan Gupta, it's a miracle. What would, where do you stand on this? Is this a miracle? But whatever you say means still a historic moment for India? Today, October 1st, 2022?
I absolutely feel that it is an important day, but I just want to give you some facts. 5G technology was launched in 2016, and there are a lot of discussions, there were a lot of industry reports that the rollout has been delayed due to policy bottlenecks, the clarity on the spectrum policy, the preparedness of infrastructure. So what I'm saying is, and now more than 70 countries, they have already launched 5G services before India. And even in terms of internet speed, we are at 115 or 120 across the world. What I'm saying now is when we have rolled out 5G, we need to ensure that the coverage part, we should ensure that we now match up the speed of the world. Somewhere due to whatever reasons we have left behind as far as past is concerned. But now when the rollout has happened, we need to ensure that the reach across India is very, very important. And that is where the challenge is for the government. Right? The benefits of 5G, obviously, when the net speed increases, it is going to benefit even small consumer also, whether it is bank transaction or a small industry. The phenomenal benefits are going to come. But we need to ensure, like 4G was introduced across the world in 2010 and it was introduced in India in 2012. So the time gap between the global launch and India launch should not be this much, like 6 years and 7 years. So we need to collectively work on that now. And as far as 5G rollout is concerned, the coverage has to be in record time across India.
All right. And I think the challenge also to move hundreds of millions of 2G feature phone users to 4G. And, and then the 4G smartphone users can, possibly perhaps move to 5G. But also, can I just touch on, I think I have a minute or so, this whole controversy about how the sub 10K device segment is dominated by Chinese brands, and we have our own governments, the word I think we can use is hostility towards China and by association Chinese manufacturers. How does that all affect this launch and, the growth?
Yeah, so that's going to change dramatically, because one of the major concerns for India as an economy or as a country, we have always been, from the point of view of electronics, we were very, very backward. That's the word I wanted to use. I run a technology company in Qatar, wherein we get the best of technology, because here it's all about the price, and we were a price sensitive and we were not manufacturing. We were always dependent on China or Taiwan or some of these kind of countries. But for the first time, we are now going to have in next 1 year, we will be manufacturing the television, we will be manufacturing all kind of electronics, because the backbone of electronics, the semiconductors are going to be first time going to be done in India. So if that happens, let me tell you, it's a huge investment. I would say it's one of the path-breaking technologies coming to India. That's going to
Mr. Matthews, are we hearing a lot of going to be, will happen, launching? Everything seems to be in the future.
I think we are here already. As you rightly said, we've been planning for this. Let me just say this. One of the things that we have to focus in terms of manufacturing, Honorable Prime Minister has appropriately put the emphasis, but we must develop IP, the rights. Look at Apple. Apple manufactures abroad, most of it, right? Where do they make their money? 85% of the value in the iPhone comes back to Apple because they own the IP rights. We must begin to start focusing on claiming that those types of things will begin to impact the pricing of equipment and manufacturing. And I think it's not too early to begin to focus on those enablers to what we're talking about.
So sounds like a lot of challenges, a lot of hurdles. I'm glad we could touch upon them. There's so much we haven't touched upon. I think we need to do a whole debate, of course, about what this leads to, the issues that are going to be thrown up due to network security and all of that. I think we need to focus on that. But thank you all for just scratching the tip of the iceberg tonight. We appreciate your time, Dhruv, Rohan, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Left, Right and Centre tonight.